What's up, guys, and welcome to episode 9 of our Clone Wars Season 7 breakdowns. We are finally getting into the Siege of Mandalore arc, and it got off to a great start, I think.
Yeah, and it's funny. It's like it started out as a part 1, so it feels like these last 4 episodes are going to be basically a movie.
I think that's what they're going for. I mean, they even showed the old Lucasfilm logo up front. It had the main title theme of Star Wars instead of like the Clone Wars-ified version of it. I think that we'll be able to just play this, binge it from part 1 to 4. I think someone could probably cut out all the title cards and just make it a movie.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be fan edits after this. But yeah, it's going to be, if every episode is about half an hour long, that's a 2-hour movie. And I like that it's kind of being bookended by a movie at the start and a movie at the end. And I saw a lot of parallels between the Clone Wars movie and this episode alone.
Yeah, I liked how they opened it up with a bunch of shots of like what's going on right now.
And they're familiar shots.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you got that meeting from Revenge of the Sith. We got our Caleb Doom cameo. It's brief, but like he got a straight up like, there's Caleb / Kanan with Depa Billaba.
We see Plo Koon.
Yeah, and I assume he's on Cato Nemoidia. We saw Ayla Secura on Felucia. It's like, we know how this ends for everybody involved, and it's already rough to see.
Yeah.
I'm not ready. But the actual episode opens up on another planet, but it's like very similar to the opening of the Clone Wars movie, where Obi-Wan and Anakin and their clones are fighting on a bridge to save a city.
It's very much like Christophsis.
Yeah. And then it's just a condensed version. It ends the same way, where one of the Jedi goes out and surrenders to lure the general, or in this case, the tactical droid, out into the open, so that they can, well, they don't take him hostage this time. They just cut his head off, but it's a droid, so.
Do you think Anakin was maybe a little over the top?
Yeah, but I mean,
this part?
Not for him. For normal people, yes, but.
When he's just standing there getting shot at and he's like.
Just doing little Han Solo dodges out of the way. Yeah, I mean,
Obi-Wan's like, oh god.
It felt like Anakin to me, and it also felt, I don't know if I would say it felt like Luke. It felt like a Skywalker thing, where he just walks out. It felt like The Last Jedi.
I was happy to see R2.
I know,
like helping Anakin, like he usually did in the series, and I was happy to see that he's there to kind of be like the middleman between Anakin and the clones that are hiding.
Now, is this the first time we've seen his magnet feet? It's probably not, but
I don't know.
That's my first thought, was like, he's got magnet feet now too. He's got everything.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's weird that it's like exciting to see R2 now, just because he feels like he hasn't been around. He didn't get to do much in the sequel trilogy. He hasn't been in this season of the Clone Wars very much. I'm like, yeah, it's good to see him.
Mm-hmm. And then we get mention of Fulcrum.
Yeah, so they get like, that call.
Oh, Saw Gerrera? Nope.
That's interesting, and I think this is going to just keep happening. The Ahsoka book is like the first time she takes up that name, and there's a reason for it. And now we're jumping a year before that, and she's already calling herself Fulcrum, and it's like, I think they're just they're prioritizing connections to Star Wars Rebels over the books or the comics, although Son of Dathomir did get some stuff in it. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's something I meant to mention. I was surprised they didn't do anything from Son of Dathomir in the beginning. I thought they would do a little setup for how Darth Maul got from being captured on Mandalore to now ruling on Mandalore.
Yeah, I mean, I think for the most part, for the casual viewer, they're not going to care for that setup.
Yeah, they're probably just going to be like, yay, Darth Maul. And I think at this point, everyone knows. I mean, obviously, he didn't stay captured. He's in Star Wars Rebels. But I still thought that they would animate like that cool frame of him and Gar Saxon and Rook Cast flying out of the prison. And he's like ziplining out. I figured we would see just that it's like Darth Maul is freed by his Death Watch compatriots, and like that's all you need.
Yeah, we might still get that.
They might do it in episode 2 now that Maul has finally set foot in the story.
Yeah.
As more than just a hologram.
But the look on Anakin's face when he sees Ahsoka on the hologram is priceless.
I really liked all of their interactions when they were first back together. Like, Ahsoka, I mean, she already said that she was worried about getting involved with the Jedi again, but it's like she has no time for pleasantries. She, like, puts her hand up to Anakin to get him to stop talking. Like, and you can see the hurt in his eyes where he's like, I just want to hug my sister or, like, surrogate daughter or however they feel their relationship is.
Yeah.
I thought that they handled that really well. And I was expecting it to be just like, oh, hugs and happiness. And it wasn't that.
Yeah. But then, so when she shows up, and I feel like the biggest tearjerker moment of this episode is probably the introduction of the clone helmets.
Yeah. I want to, before we jump to that, I liked their discussion around the battle plan table, whatever you call those things, holotables, where Obi-Wan says, like, if we go to Mandalore, that's basically going to be like starting another war. And Bo-Katan says, well, what's one more? And I really like that line, and I think it fits well with the upcoming discussion with Ahsoka and Obi-Wan, their little argument.
Mm-hmm.
But that happens after the clones. I just wanted to point out that Bo-Katan line because that might have been my favorite line of the episode.
Is that when she's like, I thought my sister meant more to you?
Yeah, it's part of that discussion.
Yeah, that was oof.
All of that was good.
That was a low blow, but a proper one.
Yeah.
It's like R2 showing Luke the Leia hologram again.
Yeah, but it doesn't move Obi-Wan. He's like, I'm not going to let my emotions get in the way. And that's the difference between him and Anakin.
Yeah, and you see it in Anakin's face. He's like,
Yeah. Obi-Wan, we're not supposed to have attachments. Like, how dare you? I would never. But yeah, the line that what's one more, it's like, the Jedi aren't supposed to be in the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
And that sets up the later argument very well. But yeah, they go into the room where we see all the clones in their orange helmets. I was expecting that to be like at the end of the arc. I don't know why. Just in my head, I thought that was going to be like the big emotional climax of the series, and then we'd have more time with Anakin and Ahsoka. Like, this episode really, really moved fast.
Yeah.
In a good way.
You could tell that Anakin, as soon as he was reunited with Ahsoka, he just immediately wanted to show her all this great stuff, like the clones using her resemblance to make their new helmets, her lightsabers he gives to her, which we don't really get an explanation, a full explanation on why they're blue, but he just upgraded them / changed them to be like his, and kind of makes a little remark that they're a little bit better now.
And this is yet another difference between the Ahsoka book and this, and I think that's fine. I mean, we've had a year since Star Wars Celebration revealed that her lightsabers would be blue, and it's like, okay, future editions of the book can be changed pretty easily. But it is interesting that they made this change, and Anakin doesn't really give a reason why, so I'm trying to speculate as to why. And yeah, I think it's a bit of like passing on a bit of himself, but knowing that he's about to go to Coruscant, where everything's about to fall apart for him, I also kind of see it as him like leaving a part of his soul with her, where like he's leaving her behind. What would have happened if she was with him at Coruscant?
Yeah. Or maybe he thought he would never see her again, and he's like, I like blue, so I'm going to make these blue.
Yeah. And I mean, we kind of jumped over this part, but Anakin gets all excited, and he's like, oh, it all makes sense now. This is why Ahsoka was kicked out of the Order. And he's like, the Force does have a plan, and it's so she can do this. But it's like, what if the opposite? What if she didn't leave the Order? And what if she were with him throughout the Clone Wars? Like, how would have things been different? So
Would we have gotten Vader?
right. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Interesting stuff.
Yeah. But I did like seeing Anakin try to make sense of it all. Like, he's still grappling with her having to leave the Order.
Yeah, and Obi-Wan's like, that's a stretch.
And speaking of Obi-Wan, so the alarms go off and they hear about the attack on Coruscant. And this is another little brief thing. There's a shot of General Grievous on his command ship. And I was like, oh man, we might see him again. But I was surprised that they did a full new model for Grievous for like a second shot.
And it looks great.
Yeah.
I saw a side-by-side picture of it online, and it's crazy.
Right. But he comes in and he's like, we have to go to Coruscant. And that's where like this argument comes up. And Ahsoka's like, you're choosing politics over the right thing to do. And it's like, I liked the argument because I see Obi-Wan's side and I see Ahsoka's side, where Obi-Wan's like, there's a bunch of people at Coruscant that need help.
Mm-hmm.
But Ahsoka's right, because she's like, you're going to rescue the Chancellor. You're not going to help people. Your motivations are political and not humanitarian.
Yeah, it's the ultimate call out.
Yeah.
And Obi-Wan's like,
Because it's like, I don't think he's right to go protect Coruscant, or I don't think he's wrong to go protect Coruscant.
Right.
But that's not his motivation. Yeah, I really liked that line. And it just reminds me what the Clone Wars is all about. Like, it was about Palpatine bringing the Jedi down. He shoved them into this scenario where it's like, okay, they can either not participate in the Clone Wars and everyone will be mad at the Jedi because they're like hoity-toity ideals and they're just letting the Republic suffer, or they can jump into the Clone Wars and betray every ideal they have, and that's what happens. And so, as Ahsoka says, people lose faith in the Jedi, and then when it's time to arrest Palpatine and he says, oh, they're trying to take over, everyone's like, I believe you.
Yeah. All part of his plan.
And that one little conversation between Ahsoka and Obi-Wan, I think, just summarizes it all very efficiently.
I wonder how Anakin and Obi-Wan felt when she said the line about, like, the people don't believe in you. Like, if they were taken aback by it, or if they were, like, not surprised, or...
Yeah, they didn't really react. I think they probably brushed it off, because Ahsoka probably would have brushed it off until she met the Martez sisters.
Sure.
Like, that's all they know. And they're like, what? No, everyone loves us. We're Jedi.
Yeah.
But once Ahsoka sees that that's not the case and that the Jedi have done some bad, that opens her eyes a little bit. And I don't think they've had their eyes opened. Mm-hmm. Until, I guess, in Revenge of the Sith, Anakin sees through the lies of the Jedi, as he proclaims.
Yeah. I feel like the entire Martez sisters arc was so that she could say that one line to Obi-Wan and Anakin, and that's it.
I think so.
Give her the sense of, like, I know what it's like out in the real world.
I think that's exactly what it was about. So Obi-Wan and Anakin head off to Coruscant, which is something referenced in Star Wars Rebels. According to Rebels, that is the last time Ahsoka sees Anakin, which is very sad. And I saw someone already posted a GIF on Twitter of they kind of mirrored some shots of Ahsoka and Anakin looking at each other, and then it's the same shot in Star Wars Rebels when it's Ahsoka and Vader. Sad times.
Yeah.
So they go off to Mandalore, Ahsoka and Bo-Katan, and that intro fight was awesome. I loved the race to the surface, which to me was another mirror of the Clone Wars movie, except Anakin and Ahsoka race to the top of a cliff, and here it's Ahsoka and Rex racing down.
Yeah. I loved all that stuff. Bo-Katan is such a badass, and I love when the leader guy, what's his name?
Saxon? Oh, Olmec.
Olmec, yeah. He's like, you're nothing like your sister, are you? And she gives him a little, like, warning shot next to his head. Like, Shut up.
There's a lot of maybe I'm reading too much into this, but like the race to the surface and then the fight down into the underworld of Mandalore. I was like, there's a lot of descending here, like going down into literally they call it the underworld, like just knowing what's around the corner. Order 66 is about to happen, and Ahsoka's like traveling down into this dark place. And like, I don't know, I see a lot of symbolism there.
Yeah.
But we also get to see Gar Saxon and Rook Cast. They were both in the Son of Dathomir comics, so at least that's being acknowledged.
Yeah.
I would love to see next episode a little summary of how Maul got to where he is. But
and we get a Ursa Wren hologram appearance. Is she the one that tells them where they were headed? Or is that
so.
Is that the clones?
I think that was the clones. Ursa calls them up, I think, when they're still in the gunship. I can't remember what she had to say, but yes, she was there. It's funny, I remember people speculating when we knew that Sabine's mother was going to be in Star Wars Rebels. Everyone thought it was Rook Cast, and I saw her in this episode from behind, and I was like, "Oh, is that Sabine?" And it's Rook Cast, right? Like they just have similar hair.
Similar hair, yeah.
But yeah, it was cool to see those characters again. Gar Saxon back. I forget who voices him. Ray Stevenson. But I might be right or wrong. I don't know. But it was nice to have the voice actor back.
His Mandalorian helmet is like it's so obvious.
What a suck up.
Yeah, like they get someone says something about them being a puppet of Maul, and then you see that and you're like, well, yeah, yep. I mean, look at that guy.
And it's like part of it is just so we obviously can tell, okay, that's Saxon, that's Rook Cast, but it is very over the top.
Yeah. Oh, something about that I forgot to mention, the race down. Ahsoka is not killing the Mandalorians, but one by one she's like wrecking their jetpacks, which is essentially going to kill them.
Yep.
I just thought that was funny.
There was a Spark of the Resistance was a book that came out right before episode 9. And in it, Poe stuns a bunch of stormtroopers and First Order officers. And it's a kid's book, so it's like trying not to be violent. But then he like sets the ship to detonate and he leaves. And it's like, well, you still killed everybody. But it's, yeah, the same kind of thing. It's like being a Jedi in that she is disabling jetpacks and weapons. But it's like, if they're flying in the air, you just killed them.
Yeah.
And some of them straight up explode on their backs. It's like, okay.
Yeah. So I think we covered most of the episode. We get to where we find out that it's a trap that Ahsoka's walking into, and that the Jedi that Maul wanted to come didn't come.
Which
that old Obi-Wan.
That reminded me of so many things, like Craig in Parks and Recreation being upset about his accomplishments always being overshadowed, because like he does this whole thing to get Obi-Wan here, but Palpatine does one little thing and Obi-Wan races off to rescue him. And that reminded me of the Lego Batman movie, of all things. The Joker says like he and Batman are like arch nemesis, and he's like, I'm your greatest villain, and Batman's like, are you? And that like crushes him. And it's like Maul's over here like, Obi-Wan doesn't have the time to come and fight me.
Yeah. Like
that has to destroy him on the inside.
If only he knew his little quip that he said earlier in the episode, like, I thought I killed him once. Make sure you capture him this time. He's hard to kill or something.
That felt like it was for the fans, and I was okay with it, where it's just like, how did he survive that? And it's like, I killed him all once. Just make sure you capture him good.
Yeah. So yeah, they're walking into a trap. They eventually, it's just Ahsoka surrounded, and then we see Maul.
Yeah. So good little cliffhanger. Definitely excited for the second episode. And yeah, this is basically what I was expecting, where I was like, I liked the Bad Batch arc. The Ahsoka's Walkabout arc was fine, but this is what we all wanted and knew season 7 was for. This is the reason season 7 happened at all.
This feels like another Clone Wars movie to just kind of like put the series to rest.
Mm-hmm. Would have been interesting. I wonder if they had considered just doing a movie called The Siege of Mandalore. It's on Disney Plus and it ends the Clone Wars. I wonder if that was the original idea, and then they were like, let's do another season. But
yeah.
And I mean, I think that it was important to get some of that stuff, like to see Ahsoka, even though I feel like the arc was drawn out. It's good to see Ahsoka kind of learn how people really feel about the Jedi.
Yeah.
That's important for this arc.
It's like any other Clone Wars season. There's like a main arc that is the best of the season, and we're pretty much there.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. So let us know what you thought of this episode down in the comments. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel.
Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
And consider checking out our Patreon page where we're doing audio commentaries for all of these new episodes. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.